Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to another video. We are again talking about last night's Champions League action as the Champions League continues to roll on. We have now concluded game week 4 of the Champions League group stages. We're entering game week 5. Things are really hotting up in pretty much every single group, as obviously we are counting down the days until we finally know who will be fully advancing into the knockout stages. A couple of teams managed to obviously progress last night without having to go through the formality of the 5th and 6th game. A few teams are still very much up in the air in terms of their qualification status, and we're going to go through all the games and talk about the results. But before we go any further, of course, I would like to remind you all to please like the video and also subscribe if you're new. Both as always and friendly, greatly appreciated. But for now, let's get into last night's Champions League action, kicking things off with Liverpool. Yes, we're beginning with Liverpool because they are comfortably through to the knockout stages without having to go through the formality of the 5th and 6th game. They have sailed through, plain sailing, smooth sailing, comfortable sailing, just sailing in general, because they have gone through following last night's 2-0 victory over Atletico Madrid. That sees them safely into the round of 16 stage. Diego Jota opened the scoring. He broke the deadlock, got the ball rolling for Liverpool before later on in the first half, Sadio Mane doubled the Reds' lead, with both goal scorers being assisted by one Trent Alexander-Arnold. Atletico's night went from bad to worse later on in that same first half when Felipe was shown a straight red card by the referee. And from there, Liverpool were pretty much comfortable. They continued to create a number of chances. Atletico were kind of fortunate in a way that the scoreline only remained at 2-0. It definitely could or should have been more than that, as the Reds wasted a number of very good chances. But as it turns out, they weren't made to be punished for it. The goal tally remained the same. Atletico didn't really trouble Liverpool at all. They did have the ball in the back of the net once through Luis Suarez, but the goal was ruled out for offside in the build-up. Liverpool get the 3 points that they wanted and needed and see themselves safely through into the next stage of this year's competition. Overall, the perfect night for Liverpool, the perfect scenario for Liverpool, perfect performance, perfect result, a result which means that Liverpool get the 3 points and, like I keep mentioning, are safely through to the knockout stages. And like I say, not only that, but they are top of the group. There is no way that the Reds are moving in the group stages. They qualify top of the group, which means they should theoretically get a slightly more easier or more favourable tie in the round of 16 stage, when obviously that draw is made. Should it never normally or never completely works out that way, should I say. But with 2 games to spare, it's the perfect scenario for Liverpool, who can go into them games against Porto and AC Milan with nothing really to lose. And I'm expecting a fair bit of rotation as well, just to keep things fresh for obviously their Premier League campaign. It is truly the perfect scenario for Jurgen Klopp's side. And what makes it even sweeter, of course, is the fact that, seen by many when it was drawn out, that this was theoretically the group of death. This was seen by many as the group of death situation for Liverpool to be in, with a lot of decent and good teams within it. But they've managed to smash their way through it. They managed to smash their way through it. 4 wins from 4. They're qualified, with 2 games to spare, and they cannot move from that top spot. Absolutely superb stuff from the Reds, who remain unbeaten in all competitions this season. No rest for the wicked though, as the Reds are going to have to prepare very quickly for their game on Sunday, as they now turn their attention to the Premier League again, as West Ham on their next opponents. Next up, we come to Manchester City, who had a great night themselves last night as they came out as 4-1 winners against Belgian side Club Brugge, despite Pep Guardiola's side scoring all 5 of the goals. Phil Foden opened the scoring with a simple tap-in before John Stones' own goal brought the Belgian side level. Riyad Mahrez re-established City's lead in the second half, and from there later on in that half, Raheem Sterling extended City's lead, and then just to add insult to injury, Gabriel Jesus popped up in injury time to score City's 4th of the night. as Pep Guardiola's side got the 3 points they wanted and needed, and their night was made even better by the news that PSG, another team in their group, also dropped points in the same day. Comfortable night in the end for City. Simple as that. Comfortable night. When City really get going and are all firing on all cylinders, they play some lovely football, of course, and last night was no exception. 4 very simple but very good and good quality goals just to watch alone in their own way. They're just 1 point away now from confirming their place in the round of 16 stage for this year's competition, and their next game is, of course, that mouth-watering encounter with PSG. That is going to be a very, very good game to watch. Lionel Messi and Pep Guardiola reuniting on opposite ends of the field, on opposite ends of the battle arena, so to speak. And of course, if you remember correctly, last time that these two teams met in the reverse fixture of this, PSG came out as the winners. In this fixture, of course, it might decide who finishes the group top and who probably finishes the group second, because despite dropping points last night, PSG should be advancing in this group. Man City should also be following them. It just depends which way round, first or second, that these two teams finish. Both sides should get the job done from here. City especially, who are, of course, like I say, 1 point away from confirming their place into the knockout stages. But yeah, that should be that. Next game, like I say, is going to be mouth-watering. But for the immediate future, City must now turn their attention to that course, that huge and major Manchester derby that's on the horizon, coming up on Saturday at Old Trafford as they clash with Manchester United once again. Elsewhere last night, Porto and AC Milan battled it out to a 1-1 draw. These are, of course, the other two teams in Liverpool's group. And, you know, with Liverpool already qualifying, like I mentioned, Porto and Atletico are seemingly battling it out to see who will join Liverpool in the knockout stages. And AC Milan, whilst they're not mathematically impossible to join Liverpool, they still could be in with a chance of sneaking into a Europa League spot should, of course, their last two results go in their favour. Also last night, a last gasp RB Leipzig equaliser thwarted PSG, as I previously mentioned before. The French side dropped points last night, and not even 2 goals from Gini Wijnaldum was enough to help Mauricio Pochettino's side to victory. PSG, like I mentioned, should go on to qualify anyway for the next round of this competition. Some way, somehow, I would expect them to do it. But, you know, they've made a massive deal, or a bigger deal out of this than what it should have been for them. Also, Ajax also qualified last night. Ajax are definitely through to the round of 16 stage following a 3-1 victory over 10-man Borussia Dortmund, while Sporting Lisbon absolutely thrashed Besiktas 4-0 in the same group. It sets up rather nicely, actually, looking at that group in particular, because Sporting and Dortmund are seemingly jostling it out to see who will qualify along with Ajax in that group. Both currently second and third, both on 6 points with 2 games, of course, remaining. And actually, more interestingly and more intriguingly, these two sides actually play each other in their next game. So that really could set apart who qualifies and who doesn't. And finally, of course, we come to Real Madrid, who were 2-1 winners on the night against Shakhtar Donetsk, with Karim Benzema scoring both goals, whilst Inter Milan beat Sheriff 3-1. The Moldovan Champions League debutants have fallen a little bit in the past couple of games against Inter, but with the way that the table sets up, it now sees Real Madrid top that group, with Inter in second, Sheriff in third, and Shakhtar rock bottom. There's still pretty much all to play for in that group, particularly for the top 3. It'll be interesting to see how that all pans out in the final 2 group games. But as I always say, these are just the thoughts, comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you're going to call it, of this guy. I want to know what you guys think. What do you make of last night's Champions League action? What did you make of Liverpool passing through the so-called group of death with flying colours and progressing to the round of 16 stage, top of the group? What did you make of Manchester City's victory last night? What did you make of all the other Champions League action last night with Porto and AC Milan drawing? What did you make of RB Leipzig upsetting PSG with a last gasp equaliser. What do you make of that PSG Manchester City game that's coming up next when the Champions League resumes in a few weeks' time? I'd love to know your thoughts and comments on that as well. And of course, what do you make on Ajax progressing to the knockout stages by beating Dortmund, the Sporting Lisbon and Besiktas and Dortmund group? What do you make of Real Madrid beating Shakhtar and being top of their group, along with Inter and Sheriff also being in the mix as we enter the final 2 group stage games? I'd love to know your thoughts, your comments, opinions, predictions, whatever you want to call it, down below in the comment section. I'm sure it'll all make for interesting reading. Otherwise, hit the like button on the way up if you enjoyed the video, subscribe if you're new or want to see more content like this. Both things are always and probably greatly appreciated. And as always, thank you all so much for watching and listening. I've been Fletch, this has been another Fletch Talks video, and I will see you all again soon in another video.